Hello, everybody, and welcome to Capsule Cast Week 15, the last Capsule Cast of the main season. Not the last Capsule Cast this season, but after this week, they are going to be changing a little bit. I am your host, DoorGuard, with my co-host this week, Donut,
Hello there.
also known as president of the Android 19 fan club and coach
Hell
of
yeah.
the Androids, and our special guest this week, Cojace,
Hello, hello.
who might be the president of the Shenron Trap Shooter Club this week after the match, but we'll have to get into that in more details. You guys have anything you want to add on real quick?
Nope.
Nope.
Alrighty then, let us get into match number one. Uh, Definitely a fun week being week 15, a lot going on. Every match basically has a significant spot, and this one was an incredibly big one. Both teams needing a win, with Kaiju and Earth Defenders basically fighting to not be fourth place. Um, Lots and lots of boosts used this week. This is basically the week of boost. Everybody has all their Zenny they got to use. So we have Righteous Fighting Spirit on Bardock and Latent Energy on Nappa, and then 3 Draconic Auras for ED on Krillin, Yamcha, and Mid Vegeta. I think they tried to put a Super +1 on Mid Goku, but we're out of Zenny. They miscalculated a little bit. So fun start to the match with Krillin and Bardock both on that melee game, but Bardock just kind of slapped Krillin out without losing more than a bar, and even takes half of Yamcha, but goes down after transforming into the rare Ape Bardock. King Vegeta basically takes out Yamcha and Mid Goku without much issue, goes Ape and tags, and Raditz takes out Mid Vegeta almost entirely on his own. So interesting match, a lot more dominant of a match from Kaiju than I think anybody expected. Fantastic to see Raditz still keeping it up, and he probably would have gotten even more damage off going Ape and finishing it with over a bar left. Had more people been alive, but Nappa not even hitting the field. No Nappa Kappas this week. Donut, how'd you feel about match number one here?
I'll say first off, unfortunately on the misuse of the Zenny there for Earth Defenders. But they were smart in using the Draconic Auras to counteract the 3 apes for Kaiju, right? That being said, Kaiju still dominated this match, I think, from start to finish. Bardock came in with a great force to kind of wipes Krillin off the floor, and then that was kind of the nail in the coffin right there after the initial start. And they just kind of took the momentum and ran with it. As I said in last week's Capsule Cast, Earth Defenders is a very, very heavy momentum-based team, and if they get a lead, they'll be able to close it. But if they fall behind, they don't have the ability to catch up like we know they can, or we expect them to. So as soon as we saw Bardock take a huge lead, like 2 or 3 bar lead, it was kind of just doomed almost. It felt for Earth Defenders. Now, not saying that Earth Defenders doesn't have the characters to do it, but with TN out, it does greatly cripple the damage output. Considering he's one of the best in the league, in my opinion. Yeah, overall, fantastic match from Kaiju. Definitely cementing themselves for playoffs there, and Earth Defenders unfortunate for the season to end like this. But overall, I thought it was a decent match. Kaiju dominant as they've been pretty much for the last 6 weeks. So, Cojace, what'd you think?
Bardock was definitely proving that he's the best character on that team, taking out Krillin quite easily. Raditz pulling his weight, definitely something BD probably didn't plan for. Mid Vegeta looked good, and so did Yamcha, but they just couldn't handle Bardock and King Vegeta pulling easily their weight and then some.
Yeah, certainly lacking an Eternal Life user in TN. You almost wonder if maybe they should have put it on their Vegeta just to have that sustainability to try to force the win, because the results of this match of Kaiju winning allowed Kaiju to get in at third place, and for Earth Defenders, due to later results, being eliminated from playoffs. So you almost wonder if that risk was needed to kind of push them over the line.
A shot.
Certainly, I think we've all had our fun fighting against ED. I think we could all agree not having to fight him again might be a blessing, to be honest. One Weskai team didn't have to make it, and ED certainly a scary one. And not to be happy at their misfortune, but they are a terrifying team, and really every team that didn't make it were were going to be major contenders, and ED was one I think most people expected to make it. So a very surprising elimination, and a very pleasant surprise for Kaiju to sneak their way into playoffs as well.
For sure, definitely.
Yeah.
Did you guys have anything else you want to add here on match number 1 then?
Nothing else other than congrats to Kaiju.
Yeah, congrats.
Alrighty then, let's get moving on to match number 2. So, an interesting start. I think we all assumed it would be a lot closer to start off week 15. Moving on to the first divisional, we had a few this final week of the season. We have Resurrected Warriors versus Rugrats, another important match, both teams looking to secure different advantages. And Rugrats end up coming out with the win this week, securing the bye for their division, which is a big blessing for them. So, again, a million boosts. We got Rising Fighting Spirit on Aider, Dragon Power on Videl, Style of the Strong on Android 18, and Super Plus 1 on N Vegeta. And then for Rugrats, we have Attack Plus 1 on Aurelie, Kabito's Secret Art on Trunks, and Super Plus 1 on Goten. I can tell you pretty much all of these got a lot of uses. So starting off, a Defense Plus 3 Eternal Life Aider, basically forces Cyberman to tag at 1 bar after only losing 1 himself, and then he eats a 14,000 Bros Kamehameha from Aider and gets finished off by a follow-up combo. Videl actually full-on eliminates Goten after key stunning him and comboing him out. Not the first time or last time this will happen in this match. And she even takes out the last bar of Cyberman with a nice combo into Rush B2, but gets swept almost instantly by an Attack Plus 3 Aurelie. This new Aurelie build has been quite terrifying, and it's showing off here how it can ping-pong someone to death almost instantly. Aurelie's mad aggression on Android 18 did not let her have any time to get more than 1 to 2 B2s that just weren't enough before she goes down. But Aurelie gets finished off by N Vegeta. A nice even fight at the end, a near full health N Vegeta versus Trunks, father versus son. Certainly a fun match to watch canon-wise, but a blocked rush by N Vegeta key stunned him, allowing Trunks to just beat him and hit him with a very interesting combo into a falling B2. So, great match. I think it really could have gone either way. I think Resurrected Warriors showed off a great fight here. Even with a lackluster performance from their star 18, and congrats to Rugrats for getting the result needed to get the bye. So, Donut, what'd you feel about match number 2 here?
I thought this was a very, very fun back and forth. You know, both teams had the highs and the lows on this. Obviously, Ada coming out doing what he does. He's Mr. Consistent for a reason. He hates his man, right? And he did, right? And then some. Then I think Videl coming in was also a very big, like, shining moment for Resurrected Warriors coming into the playoffs, because that's been the problem child. And this was the second best performance of the season, which is a great time to have it, right? When you're fighting for the bye, but then Aurelie happens, and when Aurelie sees an android on the other side, she just goes off. That's, as I know that very well. So Aurelie saw 18, said, nope, you're done, and just kind of ping-ponged around for a good minute, and then 18 was down, right? But overall, I think both teams have a lot of things they're looking at. Say, hey, this is good. Ada, Videl, right, for one. But that's saying, hey, we have Aurelie popping off, Goten and Kid Trunks are doing their thing. So I think both teams are in a good spot going forward into the playoffs. Cojace, what'd you think?
That was a very good match. I think 18 getting shut out by Aurelie really put the nail on the head of Resurrected Warriors not taking that match. Really hurt them. Aider being his consistent self just walled off Cyberman from doing damage to him. It's unfortunate I didn't get to see a Gotenks this week. I would have loved it.
Well, they decided Broly rings were more important, so.
Hope we can see that in playoffs.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll certainly be interesting to see if they'll pull that out. Because honestly, Goten and Kid Trunks have both been so consistent for Rugrats this season. It's one of their seasons, I think they're much more happier to have Goten out than Gotenks, which doesn't happen all the time. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if, with their testing they've done even during the season with Gotenks, if it's worth to pull out. And it'll be interesting to see what early Piccolo comes back with. We know Cell Jr.'s been kind of the issue for Rugrats, and same with early Piccolo, and and now moving into 5s in the playoffs, will they be able to step up? Since Videl's obviously stepped up for Resurrected Warriors, where Cyberman's can still easily be walled out, as we've seen.
Yeah.
It'll also be interesting to see with all these boosts happening this week if that's going to affect play, because just about every character in some of these matches are getting boost. Dragon Power on Videl might be a big saving grace for why her build worked, but it's hard to say, you know? So it'll be interesting to see if that continues, that form continues, or if the boost was what got her over the edge.
That's interesting because you see a lot of people have like super or attack +3, right? And it's like, well, is that the reason they're doing that 70,000, or can they do that same threshold with an attack +2? They don't have the luxury of boosts in playoffs, right? So it'll be interesting going forward.
Certainly. Yeah, Cojace, do you have any opinions on boost affecting performances maybe in the playoffs here with those being gone?
Yeah, a couple of them, like the attack pluses, the super pluses, they definitely helped some characters. But I don't think it would be that big of an effect.
Yeah, certainly is a help, but as we've seen with some teams, sometimes it's not needed at all. So, are you guys ready to move on to match number 3 then?
Let's do it.
Alrighty then, sliding right into match number 3. Another important one, but only for one team here, and that is Namek. With ED's loss, they have to win to get into playoffs, and they managed to pull it off, but I will say it's only just barely. Certainly a terrifying time when you have to have your star guy Nuova out, and Sentai did show up to play this week. Namek actually out of Zenny, one of the few teams with no boosts. Sentai with Rising Fighting Spirit on their starter Saiyaman, Indignation on Saiyawoman, and Light Body on Captain Ginyu. Certainly interesting builds as well brought out by Sentai Squad, but certainly much more serious ones. You could tell they wanted the win. Meanwhile, Namek starting an unconventional Super +2 Tambourine into Saiyaman, and he hit a lot of B2s. They really traded B2s against each other, and Saiyaman eventually going down. Birder actually hits a 17,000 ult to finish off Tambourine, bringing the match to near even, and Birder actually does an early tag at 2 bars. Ginyu with attack +2 and Master Strike coming out with something a little different, basically wipes the floor with the attack plus late Piccolo, and Nail comes in, and this is the first week I think we've seen in a long time where Nail doesn't have Eternal Life, and he hits a 14,500 ult on Ginyu and finishes him off with a super explosive wave, and then does an early tag himself. So a great performance. Starting off there, Saiyawoman coming in, fighting King Piccolo, who's on Evil Boo's defense +2 with just every scaling Patara. And Saiyawoman actually does take out King Piccolo only with a bar left, but gets finished off by an incoming Nails super explosive wave. He's 2 for 2 with those. And finally, we have Nail with the health disadvantage up against Birder, and he just manages to take out Birder with some good use of B2s. So very, very close match. I don't think anybody expected it to be this close, but knowing Nuova was out, you knew Sentai had a chance to capitalize, and they nearly did. But some interesting build swaps on Namek to get ready. I think, Donut was here when Oasis was talking about how confident he was winning, but I think he was probably nibbling his fingernails near the end there with how close it was, because if they lost this, they lost the divisional against ED, so they would have been out. So, Donut, what'd you feel about this match?
I feel bad for Sentai, because they had this. 9 times out of 10, they have it. You feel bad because at the end, when they missed those 2 ults, those are the only 2 ults they missed on the day. And they're crucial, right? Either one of them hit, and that would have been the game. You'd think, to imagine. But congrats to Namek, obviously. They showing up without the star member and finding a way to win. That's what solid teams do. That's what good teams do, right? They find a way. And going for 10 for 15 on B2s is not too shabby at all. I think there's no really character you look out for in Namek to say, hey, this is my weak point. I think all of them did pretty admirable. On what you expect from them. For Sentai, obviously Saiyaman is the red flag on that side, but I do think it's maybe a one-off because Tambourine is such a good meleeer, such a very in-your-face and spammy type of dude. He can kind of do it all if he wants to. So I think there was a little bit of a matchup for him. But I don't think there's anything to worry about for Sentai squad as a whole. I think Ginyu's in a great spot. Woman did fine. Berta's coming back into form. All liked all that. So I think they have a lot of high hopes for the off season there. And for Namek, I think they're in a good spot for playoffs, winning without their star number. So Cojace, what do you think?
A lot of these new builds that characters are running did quite well. They've certainly got something out of it, at least, to
Sure.
to look forward to for new builds for playoffs. Sentai could have easily been an 8-17 this season. They just had those few very, very close matches that really hurt them. This being one of them.
Yeah, they certainly were a team that got screwed by a 1 health bar difference at the end more often than not. So
Yeah, for sure.
was a frustrating season for them.
Sandman getting shut out basically really hurt. I'll say that's the one that was a little surprising. He can be a really good character.
Yeah, I don't think he's had necessarily a poor season. I think there's been some areas of worry, but obviously Tambourine, the second best of Namek, very hard character to take on, and they set him up as best he could, and they traded B2s, but you know, he had a super explosive wave that hit nothing, and being more rush B2 focused, that also can be a little hindrance, since man, Tambourine had some quick fire Samusens that just hit him. Even if they was only partially hit for like 3k, it still was hitting, and sometimes that's all you need to stop someone from charging at you. So certainly just some good play. I think the scary part is everybody on Team Namek did their 40, and they almost all were on completely different builds than what we've seen them on. So the fact that they were able to change that much and just all of a sudden hit like insane consistencies is quite terrifying. But at the same time, Sentai finding everybody in a good spot. And we know Jace is like a near Majin Vegeta performance character after the last 3 weeks. Who knows how they're going to come out next season. They get to start early testing after next week. So they're going to get a little jump start on things. And who knows what kind of nonsense they'll come up with.
For sure.
Well, did you guys have anything else you wanted to add onto match number 3 here?
Congrats to Namek for making playoffs.
Yeah. Them looking good without Nova is going to be a terrifying thing for whoever they have to go up against.
Yeah, they're going to have hybrids in round 1,
yeah.
so that's going to be an intense match, a West Kai showdown. But really, all of the round 1 matches are going to be quite interesting. But hybrids have been looking especially terrifying lately with Ultimate Gohan, so they got their work cut out for them. Nova's scary, but I mean, they're going up against a team. Yeah. Let's just say, let's hope one of them like destroys the moral of the other one while still losing. So make it a little easier on the rest of us, right? Well, you guys ready to move on to match number 4?
Let's do
it.
Alrighty then. Match number 4. Not necessarily an inconsequential team or match. Both teams are guaranteed playoffs, but Budokai fighting for the bye. And I think Cold Kingdom could have challenged for the bye with the win here, but Budokai secured it at the end. And this was another incredibly close, like half a bar difference match. Again, several boosts used, but a lot less. Both teams basically almost out of Zenny. Budokai using attack +1 on early Goku. Cold using attack +1 on King Cold to give him attack +3. And Mirage on Frieza. More than a few Mirages used this week. Will be interesting to see if that becomes a more stable Patara this upcoming season with some of the results and stuff it did. So, starting off, King Cold versus Cyborg Tao. Surprisingly, King Cold takes out Cyborg Tao quite easily. I wouldn't say like without losing a lot of health, but taking him out with more than a bar and a half left is quite impressive against the former elite man who cannot lose. But he takes almost immediately a 12,000 ult from early Goku to go down, evening the matchup quite quickly. Raccoon comes in and actually hits a 14,000 Raccoon Ultra Fighting Spiritual Miracle, 17 other adverbs, Bomber on early Goku, which technically is a pseudo canon moment because he was charging it up in the fight in which early Goku existed in, but not actually ever happening. And early tags with the bar left, that becoming a very much needed tag for this match. Probably the reason that they won it is having a savior character like early Goku tagging out. Nam comes in and takes out Raccoon on a quick tag in from early Goku. Frieza takes out Nam quite quickly and even hits a 14,000 crazy finger ult from his third form on N Goku and takes a 12,000 instant Kamehameha ult in the return and gets taken out by a follow-up B2 as well. So now we have Meta finishing off using a Supernova to finish off N Goku, blowing up Planet Namek, giving us Destroyed Namek for the second time this season. Funny how both times that we visit Destroyed Namek, we get a very intense and close match to finish it off. So a 1-bar health lead for Meta Cooler against early Goku. And early Goku, after hitting a 12k ult, comes down and hits a pretty far-ranged Kamehameha that Meta just didn't quite have time to react to, apparently. So just narrowly taking the win here certainly was a very intense and close match, and I got to give a lot of credit to both teams really coming out and throwing a lot on the line. Obviously Budokai, Kid Goku being a very strong member for them not being in, early Goku having another fantastic week, and everybody else hitting around 37k is certainly nothing to be disappointed in. And Cold Kingdom, Raccoon being their worst character, having a very strong week, hitting an ult, hitting several other B2s, and not even having Master Throw and still doing a ton of damage is something always nice to see. Frieza coming in, hitting an ult, and doing his stuff is always impressive too. He's been a character fighting to not be in the LVP tournament as well. If anything, Metacooler dropped it at the end, but I still got to give a lot of credit. Both these teams put a lot of heart on the line in their final match. Budokai deserving the bye after that, and Cold Kingdom really looking ready to take playoffs on like as a storm coming in. So, Donut, how'd you feel about match number 4 here?
Very fun, very back and forth match, and both these teams are fighting for the bye and/or home field advantage for playoffs, right? So they both really wanted this one, and coming into the match with Kid Goku out being the best member and Cooler out being their best member, is as I kind of expected Budokai to take it quite handily, considering how much Cold Kingdom relies on Cooler to pop off or to close out and kind of sweep through. But this was a lot closer than anyone imagined, really. King Cold finally showing up to what we know him to do. Raccoon getting back to what he can do. We got an ult out of Frieza, which never happens, right, as you were saying. So a lot of things happened for them, but just kind of dropped at the end. And yeah, I'm feeling if Metacooler just went with a Finger Blitz instead of a lock-on buster, things would have changed, but things didn't fall for them. And obviously, Budokai early Goku is the savior, no pun intended, for their team with how many ults he threw out. Just back to back is insane. Quite scary for North Kai to contend with whoever faces them in the second round. But yeah, I said both teams look pretty strong coming into the playoffs. Both teams should be able to do some damage, I think, in the 5-man. So Cojace, what do you think?
This is a very good match. A lot closer than, as you said, anybody expected. Both of the best characters being out. I think most people would have easily given it to Budokai. But Cold Kingdom definitely showed they're not pushovers or anything. They could have won this match just as easily. This was really early Goku's match. Did quite well. Everybody else took their man. Early Goku did that twice over.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, it'll be interesting. Early Goku going into LVP after a performance like that, you almost wonder if they give him just his normal build to get him out faster. Just like, you don't deserve to be here. And same with Raccoon. It's kind of the shame with the LVP. It's for fun, but some of the characters kind of end up in there, and maybe they didn't deserve it with some of the performances they put out. But in terms of just this match, I think both teams have a lot of potential going into playoffs, and both making it means we'll get to see it. So it'll be very interesting to see how they perform, though. Budokai is in the bye week, so they will not be doing anything for the next 3 weeks but theory crafting. So it'll be interesting to see if they keep that nerve. Always important for the bye teams to keep that nerve. So, do you guys have anything else you want to discuss for match number 4 here?
Congrats to Budokai for getting the bye.
Congrats, and it was great seeing a crazy finger blitz beam.
Yeah, I
For
think it's
sure.
a crazy finger barrage or something. Yeah,
Yes.
Something like that, yeah.
the third form Frieza ult that you never see.
Yep. See, like once, maybe twice.
It's not even his worst one. Well, you guys ready for match number 5 then?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Alrighty then. Match number 5, we have Androids versus Royals. Another divisional for this week and a very important one. I think this was whoever lost is eliminated.
Yeah, whoever lost this match was out.
So obviously a lot on the line, and again a lot of boost used. So as you can see by the scores there, Androids did pull out the victory, but this was another very good match, a very good match that came down to the wire to a degree. But not nearly as much as the last one. So boost, we have Super +1 on 17, giving him Super +3, Light Body on Super 17, Defense +1 on Cell, and Attack +1 on 16. I believe that Defense +1 negated the Defense minus from Attack +2.
Yes.
And then for Royals, we have Sing Fighting Spirit on Pilaf, Kibito's Secret are on Mecha Frieza, and Mirage on Majin GG. So another use of Mirage here, probably to just try to help with whatever random multi-hitting B2s potentially ended up against him, as I bet they were just preparing in case he needed an elite performance. So Pilaf versus 17 to start. Pilaf having a lot of great performances lately, but 17 just ended up being kind of the straw that was a little too hard to handle. It gets taken out quite easily, but Mecha Frieza, using his ult for the first time in a while for about 16k, takes out 17 quite quickly, evening the matchup quite quickly. And he ends up having to tag at 1 bar against Super 17, and Deborah comes in to finish him off. Cell takes out Deborah quite quickly in return and hits a 14k perfect barrier ult on Majin Vegeta before finishing him off with a few more combos. So Cell bleeding a little bit. Mecha returns to finish him off, but Cell tags right when he gets to about half a bar, and 16 dodges a very, very close Supernova ult to kind of Nani behind him, and he finished him off with a Hell's Flash, giving Androids the win. So rest in peace, Royals. Your run was a good one for your first season in the league, and honestly was a pretty good showing even today, but it just came down to Androids having the right matchups. Cell just absolutely dominating Majin Vegeta, which is probably the last thing they were hoping for. They probably hoped the other way. Deborah putting in a decent showing to try to keep the team in it, but it's just not being enough. And Mecha Frieza finally popping off like we know he could with multiple ults and hitting stuff, but he had too much flying around. Whereas on Android's side, even though 16 didn't have much to do, he did what he needed to do to finish it off. 17 taking his man, even though it being Pilaf being a 60k character the last few weeks is still pretty good, and Super 17 on his new build, hitting for 42,000 is about as much as they could ask for as well. So I think both teams really put a lot of heart on the line, as they basically had to win today or be out, and Android's just taking it. So Donut, how'd you feel about your match today?
Whew, where do I start? Alright, I think from our perspective, we obviously came in with the idea that Majin Vegeta was an issue, and almost all the characters were a huge issue for us. The one thing we did have going for us was the map, obviously, but we knew Super 17 to blow it up in an instant, and he does like doing it, or Mecha Frieza could blow it up as well. And going into I thought both teams used the boost adequately. I thought both teams planned very well, prepared very well. And as soon as we saw Super 17, or not Super 17 die to Mecha Frieza, I thought it was over. I thought we had lost at that point in time, just because we still had Majin Vegeta to worry about. But Super 17, we went back and looked at multiple tests throughout the offseason, and that build, that AI was the one we felt confident in, and it showed, right? It did enough to pull us through. And then Cell, this is a playoff-like match, a playoff-esque match for us, and Cell in playoffs, ever since I've been coach, has been quite well. So I'm happy that he was able to showcase himself. And when he ulted, I was like, well, that's game like that. It has to be. Now for Royals, obviously, I think they have a lot of good pieces. They have a lot of things that they look at and say, hey, this is really good. Mecha Frieza back in form. Pilaf overall consistently has been a 40k plus character. That's great. Majin Vegeta, we know how good he is. So they have pieces for the offseason to look at and say, hey, these are good parts. Here's the place we're struggling with. This is the first season, right? We expect some kinks in the machine, but I think they'll be much improved for that season, which is quite scary to think about. But I'm just happy that we got past the week and we're in the playoffs. So GG's. Cojace, what you think?
This is a very good match. It really shows that like one character can't win you a whole season in
Mhm.
Vegeta, especially him getting shut down by Cell and all.
Mhm.
Like, you could also say the same thing about androids, kind of, with Cell, but 16 and 17 are both very good characters.
Mhm.
Yeah, Majin Vegeta getting shut down basically decided that match. Mega Frieza showing up and doing really well was nice to see, but he couldn't quite bring it back.
Yeah,
Hurts not to see Royals in the playoffs.
I think they put a lot of eggs into winning more matches before this match. Because obviously, if it came down to planning for this match, they probably would have liked to had Lord Slug in over Mecha Frieza. But I think they had planned on maybe winning in this match being a fight for a different spot rather than making it. So it was one of those. Unfortunately, they just couldn't quite pull out enough wins to be safe before this one. And um, even coming down to it, I don't think that they had a bad game plan coming in, as we have said. But unfortunately, uh, some teams have to make it, some teams can't, and they just ended up being on the opposite side of that.
For sure. It's interesting you mentioned Lord Slug because we obviously knew 19 would be benched for this match as soon as the preseason week 4 ended. We knew that would be a week 15 bench would be 19, and that actually allowed us to play around with the attack and defense battars for Super 17, Cell, and 16, and we kind of put 19's defense +2 on 16, moved things around to make Cell have the attack +2. And for Super 17 that'd be attack, and all that worked out. So yeah, playing ahead for benches really does play a deep impact in how a match will go.
As a counterpoint, Pilaf was garbage back then, and now he's like
True.
a competent character. So, and back
Yeah.
then, Mecha Frieza was an old spamming monster, and Slug was a bad character. So it was one of those hard to predict things
Of
at this
course.
point in the season. They couldn't really use that as good data, and obviously that's always an issue coming in.
For sure. Yeah, I've been pleasantly surprised with Pilaf. He's been a trooper. He's been a champion.
Hey, Cojace, you noticed something interesting though? Donut just revealed.
What?
They had to move a lot of Patars to make this match work. So that means they have to do some interesting stuff and juggling to make it when they move into fives here for playoffs.
Oh, we have plans. We have ideas. We have lots of ideas.
Mirage
Not
becoming a
good.
staple on the androids?
Oh, maybe.
Teams like Muscle.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of interesting stuff. A lot of these risks to make the high rewards means, okay, well, that worked almost too well, so we kind of want to keep it, but we have to split the Patars again for the playoffs. So yeah, that's going to be a big part moving in. So it's unfortunate for Royals, but congratulations, androids. You guys ready for match number 6 then?
Let's do it.
Alrighty then, match number 6. An inconsequential match to a degree. Hybrids were guaranteed at this point. Derp were guaranteed out, but I think they still both came out really wanting this win. And funny enough, for the boost, we have some fun ones. We have a map swap by Hybrids to Muscle Tower in attempt to either protect or destroy the Snowman, and Reiching Fire Spirit on Team Gohan, who they started. For Derp, we have Light Body on Hercule and Attack +1 on Kibito, giving him Attack +3. So lots of fun on their side as well. So to start off, we have Salza versus... No, I think he had Attack +1, so this gave him Attack +2. That's right. Salza, I believe, had the Attack +2 starting versus Super Saiyan Teen. Certainly interesting start, but Teen just being a little too much for Salza and all the B2s taking him out. Then Teen takes Jiro on and takes him to about his last bar, but Jiro gets a couple combo grabs in and kind of sucky-suckies the Teen Gohan to death. Kid Gohan comes in and finishes off Jiro's last bar. Kibito comes and takes out Kid Gohan to 1 bar, um, and then tags to let the champ finish off the child. Hercule gives Sword Trunks a few presents and even a 20,000 Mr. Boo arrives ult to take him down. So can't really give too much flack to Sword Trunks this week. He took more than enough damage for 2 characters at that point. He had only a bar left when that ult hit. Future hits a pretty quick fire 12k B2 to finish off Hercule on his entrance. And Kibito pulling out with 1 bar, taking Future all the way down to about half a bar before Future Gohan finishes him off. Certainly a strong showing from Derp here. Obviously, it's fantastic to have another character performing well in Supreme Kai or Kibito Kai. And hybrids have a little bit. They're obviously fantastic that they got the win to keep that momentum moving into the playoffs, but you got to be a little worried that Future Gohan almost tossed it there at the end. And to be fair, it was a pretty high offense melee build coming into his spam build, but still a little worrisome to know that is happening. But Teen Gohan finally hitting his form again. And he can't blame Sword Trunks too much for his performance. Hercule's a tough cookie, and hitting that over 20,000 damage ult is it's kind of awful, honestly. I'm terrified of it. It's kind of a blessing and a curse that Derp didn't make it, because Hercule this season has had one of his best seasons he's had in years. So obviously some good news with him, Salza and Kibito Kai starting off, and with testing starting here after this next week, they have a lot to work on because they have a nice master list to work with. So Donna, how'd you feel about this match here?
But it was a really fun match, and obviously inconsequential, but you feel for Dup obviously. Every time they had so many of these 1 bar losses, right? And same with Sentai, right? But for Dup, and you feel for him, right? Because even with the 3 clash wins, 3 for 3, having a tag, all this stuff happening, is still just short, right? It still took a heroic effort from Supreme Kai to actually get to this point, or this Kibito. And when you look at it, it's like, well, Hercule did great, Supreme Kai did great, Jiro did what we expected him to do, nothing essentially. But then Salza, like, we need more, right? It's always just that one thing that's missing for them, and I think they'll find that missing piece in the off season. So I'm excited to see what they do with potential pickups like Dodoria, Guia, Pool, just to name 3 of them. And then you have hybrids, and I say I'd be worried if I was hybrids slightly, saying we're struggling slightly against Derp. Yes, they're on testing right now, and you don't know what to get. Yes, there's boosts involved, but you're 10-5 to open against a 1-11 or 1-14, and you expect to be more dominant, right?
Shh,
just
they stopped
by
at
the
11.
record.
They stopped at 11.
Oh, they stopped at 11. Okay.
Yeah, we don't keep going there.
Gotcha. And yes, you had your best kicked out, but you expect more, right? You want more. I think Teen being back in form is fantastic for them. That'll be great. I think Future is a slight concern actually for them. I'd be a little bit worried for them. I think everyone else is about what you expect. So in the playoffs, I think they'll be able to do well, but I think they need more from Future if they want to make it past West Kai. Cojace, what you think?
Derp is another example of one man can't carry a whole team, and Hercule, but Kibito Kai doing really well this match. Gives them some definite hope of being a good team next season with some testing.
Sure.
Definitely interested to see how they do with some testing under their belt. Yeah, Team Gohan looking in forms terrifying, to say the least. Kid Gohan did really great too. Be definitely interesting to see how they do in the playoffs with their full team.
Yeah, I mean, gotta give a little credit though to hybrids in the sense that Ultimate Gohan was out, and he's definitely their strongest character this season. So they have a little bit of a kind of fallback here. But yeah, I mean, Salza and Hercule looking strong for Derp. I know this week wasn't Salza's week, but Teen Gohan's not exactly something to scoff at. And Kibito finding a spot means they They only have to worry about Devilman and Jiro, and I think Jiro's already kind of off the block where Devilman is kind of hanging on the ledge. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with their extra testing time and kind of what they find, because we already know Dodoria is a strong character to potentially come in, and who knows, Pool, Kui, lots of other characters sitting over there that could easily come in, and you don't know. So, do you guys have anything else you wanted to add on to match number 6 here?
Yeah. For the Supreme Kai, I think, like you said, he kind of saved his spot in the lineup for sure there with this performance. But I said, not to discredit Dup, I think they're still they have solid pieces, right? They have Hertun, and Salza historically has been fine. Supreme Kai doing great, but just say, slight concern for future right there. But I think Dup has a lot of good pieces going into the offseason. I think they can find a lot of good things. Kick Jiro, obviously, but I think Devilman versus whoever they want to contest plus free agent will push them into a possible playoff team next season.
And again, as a reminder, they did have a coach change midway through the season, yes. So plans did change a lot for them on behind the scenes that made it a little different for what plans are going on. So
yeah. Props to Fiora for taking the reins on the team.
And I know he finally has the chance to make creative changes at a much bigger scale than before, so it'll be interesting to see what he does as his first kind of segment as coach to do that. So, Cojace, did you have anything else you wanted to add on?
Yeah, like you mentioned, Ultimate Gohan being their hybrid's best character. With Team being back in form, that team's looking pretty scary for playoffs. They could definitely be a top contender.
And they have Namek first.
Ooh.
They might be getting their greens in. That might be just a diet pill on their way through. Gonna have to leave it to good old Pink Boy Bujins maybe to end the Gohan threat. We will find out. Well, are you guys ready to move on to match number 7 then?
Let's do it.
Are you sure? We could just stop here. I'm kind of already done.
Yeah, we done.
Season's already over. Why are we even doing this? So, moving on to match number 7. The reason we have our guest on here today, we have Muscle versus GT. A highly anticipated match due to the amount of trap shooters that we know we were going to see, as well as just big boys on both sides really duking it out. Master Roshi out for Muscle, GT Goku for GT, certainly could go any way. Again, a lot of boost use. Muscle actually map swapping to Broly's planet. They said they did not want to worry about protecting the snowman, just letting Broly visit the home, his home, which is actually not his home at all. It was a planet that was, I think, blown up for fun in the movie. So otherwise, they have attack +1 on Android 13 and Broly, style of the strong on Trunks, and Kibito Secret Art on Bojack. And for GT, we have light body and Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, attack +1 on Baby, and ki +1 on Sin. And that ki +1 on Sin was quite interesting this week. So starting off, Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta versus 13, pretty even fight. Vegeta taking the lead by about 2 bars, and 13 transforms, hits a 10k B2 in a combo to even it up, but Vegeta takes him out. Super Trunks comes in and with 1 B2 basically kind of slaps out Vegeta, and then spams Pan out quite hard. He'd been on a Super +2 build, really helped that, and kind of stunted Pan's attempt to make or keep even with Muscle. And here's where the kind of big thing hits. Baby comes in, forces Trunks to tag, and Bojack doing what he's been known for, hitting 2 10,000 damage ults on Baby, forcing him to transform into Super Baby 2. And Baby actually manages to pull the comeback and take out Bojack and tag. Shin Shenron coming in and basically finishes off the match from here, hitting 6 out of 8 B2s, almost all of them. I think all of them were Super Trap Shooter on Broly, including Legendary Super Saiyan Broly, to just wipe him out, giving him a pretty large lead going against Super Trunks. And even though he hits an 11,000 B2 and transforms against Shin, it just wasn't quite enough to take him out. And of course, he also got some super trap shooters to the face. So Shenron extremely popping off this week, showing off just how strong he is. Baby still doing what he does. Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta looking quite good. Obviously, both teams are set for playoffs, and GT with this win have secured the bye. So congratulations, GT, for getting the win and getting the bye for your first season in the league. And I know even though Pan is looking kind of rough, GT Goku has looked quite good. So having one character a little off the center, but everybody else doing well is a great way to get going into your first playoffs. And obviously Muscle, Bojack finally doing what they want him to do. Still little issues with Broly, but Broly and Android 13 still doing 30Ks, at least something. They didn't fully do nothing, so they just kind of have to get a little bit realigned. So, Donut, how'd you feel about match 7 here?
I thought this was a very bizarre match, just from the outset, from the start. Because for Muscle, they obviously map swapped that. It makes a lot of sense to keep Iron Fist alive, as long as possible. But style of the Strong on Trunks was very interesting, because Trunks as a character has only thrown out two ultimates the entire season. So that was very, very bizarre to me. But, hey, they believed in it, so they went for it. Then obviously the key boost on Shenron, that was interesting because key is a finicky thing to mess with AIs, because AIs will utilize that very differently. And so when that happened, I was like, well, this be either very well or very bad, and it went very, very well for them. So obviously going into the actual match, the main talking point is Baby coming in, getting that lead back for GT after Pan kind of botched it at the start there, almost midway through, and then Shin just kind of taking control of it. But I think it was a very, very well done match overall, holistically, barring Pan's obviously. Not great performance on her part, but I think both Vegetas and Shin did exceptional. I think that's the kind of the output they want from them going into playoffs. And if they can show up Pan a little bit, they'll be solid, and they'll have who they have bench G2. They had Goku out for this one, so I think he's a solid character in his own right. So I think GT has a lot of solid pieces going into the playoffs. Small things they had to work on overall, but I think they are in quite a good position to kind of sit back and wait for the next opponent, and they'll be able to showcase a lot into the playoffs. I think the big dark horse in the tournament. Cojace, what you think?
Like, going into this match, we really just wanted like SSJ4 Vegeta and Pan to do like their 30, 35, 40K, and for Sin and Baby to really take over the match, which they did. After that Super Trunks 2 big B2s and Bojack's 2 ults, I was fearing that we were not going to take this match, but Baby and Sin definitely proving that they're very good characters on our team. Great to see. And the irony is lost on nobody that Muscle lost to Trap Shooter.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously can't get too much into builds, as you guys wouldn't want to spoil any plans you have for moving into playoffs. But I think just a big thing that should be noted is that the start of the season, Shenron looked like almost a trash character on his key build. People were worried that he just didn't deserve to be in the league, like his stats were just not showing. And ever since he moved on to this defense Eternal Life build, has shown that he can do more than just stay in the league, but actually take teams on his own. And you have to wonder if the key boost today was a major factor in his success in this specific instance. Like, do you think maybe Latent Energy will swap for Fighting Spirit in the future to just allow him to do more of that? Or is it just kind of this was a one-time thing and it doesn't really matter as much?
Yeah, I think one of the big things is that when we swapped builds, he started doing more of the can't remember the name of his other B2 right now since he so rarely uses it.
Blazing Storm, I think.
Yes,
yeah, Blazing Storm. He started using that one more, which was a big help because that one's quite good. And yeah, Sin Shinron's turnaround was really something that, like, we didn't really expect when we put him on the new build. Because we had tested both of the two builds, and the key one was looking better in testing. So, certainly interesting.
Yeah, do you think even though Pan has been struggling, that you guys will still be able to pull off a really strong performance in your first set of 5v5s here in, over a month?
Yeah, GT is definitely looking to be a much better team than we were at the start of the season, so playoffs, we got some ideas.
Yeah, I understand you're not one to give too much away. We usually like
Yeah, we
to
don't want.
ask questions of our guest, and it's just a little awkward since it's hard to give away plans. But I guess the biggest thing is I mean, obviously, congratulations on making it to
Oh,
playoffs, but it's your
definitely.
first. It's going to be the first time for this squad to be doing 5v5s, where maybe other teams, due to previous seasons, had that opportunity. Do you guys have think there'll be any issues with Patara overlap? Um,
I personally have been pretty good about all the teams I've been on to not do much Patara overlap, so that really shouldn't be much of a problem.
all right, do you have any questions for our guest today, Donut?
I do not.
Yeah, I mean, I think just overall, it's, for the third time, congratulations on making it to
Yep.
playoffs. As obviously, as
Yeah.
a new team, it's quite impressive. Um, I know there's still stuff in the talks. I think even before the season started, maybe Shin should be allowed if, Broly can go big, if Shin can go big, or if Nerfs and blah, blah, blah. But just making it this far and showing that you guys can make work with what you have is quite impressive. And I know you guys will be probably offering a lot of stuff for Majub in the off season, as he is a character on your guys' master list that
Yes.
maybe an
Yeah.
upgrade would be looking for. But there's also the talks of you guys getting a fusion. I know Gotenks was talked about earlier, but with
Yeah.
both Super Saiyan 4 characters, there is the potential for Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, but I think right now his stats need to be lowered. I think he's B2s are like ult levels at all
Yeah.
times. So
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah, lots of fun potential in the future for Team GT. Will be interesting to see what options open up for you guys, and obviously, hopefully, there's a return of Blue Shirt Pan, even if it's in the smallest margin, to help you guys out in the fives. Well, I
For sure.
guess
Yeah.
I should ask, what's the number one change you're hoping for with the end of the season in terms of
With
all
like
those potentials of transformations and fusions and
uh
such?
probably the Broly's ring taken off of Sen.
Mm.
That or starting in SSJ4 Goku. That would be a big one.
Yeah, certainly
Yeah.
forms have been a big thing this season, with some characters being limited and some not, and just the lack of the ability to test that. So, yeah, I mean that would be awesome to see one or both get that as an option, even if it's they have to transform into it. At least giving you the option to try
Yeah.
that out,
Mhm.
because you guys obviously are one of the few teams that have made Dragon Spirit a very strong looking Patara on Baby Vegeta.
Yep.
So you get two. Could that other one be something that maybe Shin inherits to allow him to utilize his transformation? That would be interesting to see. Because I don't know, what does he have? Like False Courage or something that I don't recall his B1s too much.
No.
Yeah, I would have to pull that up afterwards. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have much else to ask here. You guys got any final remarks then for match number 7 here?
Nope.
For me, for muscle, I didn't talk too much on muscle, but I think they're still in a good spot. I know we've talked a lot about GT, obviously, as a guest today. But I do think muscle is still in a decent spot. Obviously, I did mention the style of the strong was a little bit questionable on my end. I obviously don't know the mindset of the coach and the supporters of muscle. Let's say 13 didn't get a boost or anything like that, so maybe if they allocated a boost to him,
No, he had attack +1.
did he?
Yes. They
Okay,
had
yeah,
they had a
13 in total.
boost
On everyone. Okay.
on everyone. Yes.
Okay.
So
I thought Bill. I didn't see 13.
and Super Trunks did throw an ult, but he is the second
Did, but
character
you-
now. Both him and 18
Yeah.
had Style the Strong, but he actually threw an ult and it just didn't land. So
Didn't land. Yeah. So you need those to land if you want them. And he has a rush ult, right? So
yes,
that's another big issue, right? With those. But I think they're still in a good spot. They do very well in 5v5, so I'm not taking this match with a grain of salt, obviously. I think they'll do quite well. Bojack, if he can keep spamming those ults, will be great. Broly's a monster, as we know. 13's a monster, as we all know. and Super Chunt's been great. So I think they're in a fine position going forward.
Yeah, and they have no
As long as-
worries of Patara issues because they like to use
Oh no,
unconventional Pataras, so they'll
yeah,
find
they
a
use
way.
everything. The little bit jack of all trades. They'll do anything.
Well, you guys
Mhm.
ready then to move on to match number 8?
Let's do it.
All right, so for the final match of this week, we have Bujins versus Cinema. As I predicted
move on.
last week, 13-2, baby.
We can move on. This we don't need to hear
Yeah,
this.
I mean, honestly, there's not a lot to say. I think still there were only 2 boosts used. We had Style of the Strong on Majin Buu and Mirage on Zangaya. And you know what? Zangaya actually got use out of Mirage, dodging 2 different Genocide Blasts. So congratulations to her. Starting the match off, Fasha versus Super Buu in an attack +2 match off. And surprisingly, Super Buu forces Fasha to tag with almost half a bar left on her and him still at 2. Zangaya comes in and forces Super Buu to tag at his last bar after doing some Mirage shenanigans. Majin Buu comes in, takes out Zangaya, but he unfortunately is the 3rd character with Style the Strong, and he also whiffs his ult. And his being a super explosive wave was quite sad, but quite beautiful to watch from a distance at the very least. And he tags into Super Buu, who comes in and finishes off Gogeta in probably the most strange way. He does the punch to twist the character around, and that killed him. So they kind of slumped to their feet in an interesting way. Garlic finishes off Super Buu, sweeping his legs. And Kid Buu and Garlic Buu actually have a very fun B2 spam trade-off, Super Kamehamehas versus sweeping legs, until finally a ult from Kid Buu for 13k finishes off Garlic. He tried to counter it with a sweep the leg, but you cannot sweep a planet-destroying orb. Fasha finishes off the last of Kid Buu. Majub comes in and kind of gets his stats ruined a little bit, pushing him into the least valuable player tournament above Super Buu, but only just barely. And he finishes off the last bar of Fasha with Majin Buu still in the stack back. So, certainly not a bad showing from Cinema. Gogeta kind of was the only one that got absolutely destroyed. He just couldn't do anything against Majin Buu, and then Super Buu's melee just kind of destroyed him as well. Zangaya with an average performance of 35. Fasha doing her thing as well, and even Garlic Jr. he had to take on some pretty strong characters. So overall, I don't think they had a bad performance, but obviously Buu's on their own map coming out and just kind of putting in more work than I think anyone expected, especially me. I don't think I expected Super Buu to put in a near 80k performance with how much he's been struggling lately. So, Donut, what'd you feel about the final match this week?
I think it went pretty much as expected, right? Bujin's such a terrifying team, and you can't take the day off against them at all. Yeah, I think Gogeta not being able to get much of anything going really was the big turning point for this match, obviously. And I do think that Super Buu beating out Fasha was actually kind of sealed the match almost right there. Speaking with Snuffy, the coach of Cinema, she was saying that it was kind of like having Fasha in the front, just kind of hoping she'd do the most. And when you're doing even against Bujin's first character, they have 3 more just like him and even better waiting. So it's a little bit of an Elite Four type thing going on there. And other than that, there's not much else to say. Garlic did his thing, right? Fasha did her thing to an extent, and Zangaya, bless her heart, doing her best out there against some of the strongest in the league. And no holding her own, 35k is up to start off at there. I think that was quite fine on her part. I think Gogeta kind of dropped the ball in this one. And of course, for everyone on the Bujins, they do what they do. They kind of smack you around for a little bit, and you just kind of take it. And yeah, I think Cinema's in a fine position. I think it's just a matchup thing, though. And it's one of the best teams, if not the best team in the league. Is always a tough thing. So I think they'll be much better in the playoffs and its muscle than they did today. And I think Bujins is just sitting back, waiting patiently to see who they face for hybrid dynamic. So I say went about as I thought, but no big problem childs or problems to point out on this one. So Cojace, what'd you think?
This was a really good match. Gogeta getting shut out hurt Cinema a lot, but it was really just a typical Bujin's match. Bujins don't really have a weak character per se, so their whole team can do their 40, 45k each week, so it's really hard to shut that out. And they don't have one particularly bad character, or even considering Kid Boo's maybe their best or what. Even if you shut like Hand down or Evil Boo down, they'll have a bunch of other strong characters to go through.
Funny enough, if Majub had done like 20,000 more, Kid Buu would have been the least valuable player for Boojins.
Yeah,
Kid
that's
Buu was
kinda
actually
scary.
like our worst character for a while there, a good while.
That's scary to think about.
Yeah. Their whole team's like over 40k average damage, is it not?
Something like that.
Everybody has
think so.
like just over 40 or near 45. I think Evil Boo is at 50, and that put him at like 11th in the league. But everybody else is in the 40s, but under 45 for the most part.
Yeah. Like I
Yeah.
said, no weak character per se.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, if Fasha had the Mirage boost, you almost wonder if that would have been a different with how much Genocide Blast she ended up eating.
True. Yeah.
You almost
Yeah.
have to wonder. So, certainly some interesting forethought, but both teams are secured for playoffs. Cinema being in one of the divisions with, I believe, Sentai, so they all, or I think it was with Derp, so they
Yeah,
always
Derp,
were
yeah.
going to make it. They were just fighting for bye. Boojins have had a bye for about 3 weeks now, so nothing too crazy going on, but obviously good match in a good attempt. I think Boojins won the preseason version of this as well, but back then there was a lot different builds and a lot of different characters, so certainly still interesting moving on from here. Well, are you guys ready to move on to the next segment?
Let's do
Yeah.
it.
So this next segment is just going to be a small screen of a. This is the end for Royals, Earth Defenders, Sentai, and Derp. Those were the teams that did not make it this season. Royals and Earth Defenders, 1 win away. Sentai and Derp, just too many matches that ended with half a bar difference. Just is a little too close, unfortunately, on too many times. So, good efforts. You all get a start early testing in the next week, and will be certainly interesting to see what adjustments are made, as all these teams have a good variety of options moving into the next season. So, moving on from there, we have the updated tier list. As we can see, we have a new "What is a God to a Champion" in Ultimate Gohan and Cell. Hashtag Nerf Cell is now trending on Twitter too, worldwide. Kind
great.
of weird. Gods of
Love it.
War, Fasha, Cooler, Hercule, Baby, Bardock, Evil Boo, and Kid Trunks. I will say, of all the characters that did a surprisingly good performance for GT this season, I am super happy to see Baby stepping up as much as he has. He's been a character that was always locked in a Broly's ring for free agent for seasons and seasons because they were worried he would be too strong. And while he is quite strong this season, he's not like overbearingly like where, oh, they need to nerf him to put it back on. He's actually really only transforms once usually, and it's just enough to keep his key up so that he can do some more combos. So great from him. And obviously Shin Shenron hitting Elite Warriors also being a very niche character for free agents in seasons past. It's nice to see these guys coming in and finding a spot. Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta jumping up several steps as well. He was having his ups and downs a lot this season, and he's really found his place. So really just goes to show even teams at the beginning of the season. What were you guys, 0-4 or 0-5, and ended the
Oh,
season
4.
0-4, yeah.
like 9-6? Like that's just a great turnaround, a great showing that even with characters that traditionally have been seen as a problem child, you can really turn him around and turn him into a big performance character. So great job. Absolutely fantastic. I know Sentai back then, when they were also like 0-4 with you guys, said keep your heads up. There is always a way forward, and you guys certainly found the light. Is there any major things on the tier list you guys want to point out here?
Zingaya moving up, way up.
Yes, Zengaya's. Maybe there's some bias there to push Zengaya up. I have no idea.
That's one that is a big, I don't say red flag, but something I am pointing out right now. Mecha down there, even after the showcase of this last week, that I would have him slightly up on my own list, and Krillin down there. for the first time down in Goldo's training camp over there. So here, a new recruit of sorts. So that's a
Future Gohan
unfortunate
has
for him.
dropped as well. Blue shirt is the new red shirt. Terrifying
Yeah,
prospect
it
for
feels
GT.
bad. Yeah, maybe red shirt pan in playoffs.
Calm
the
down,
new blue
Cojace.
shirt.
I'm holding you back. You can't beat up the tier list maker.
Yeah.
It's just an opinion. Though we
Yeah.
do see, obviously, Android 20, the favorite of the androids,
Ah.
chilling down there for some surprising reasons. It'll be interesting to see you guys pick him up and fix him up this next season. Super Plus, I'm
first
guessing?
chance. Yeah, Super Plus, T minus. Yep.
Yeah,
Love it.
perfect build for him.
Master Blast. Yep.
Yeah, all in.
Oh.
Will be fun to see this next season with him on the team. Obviously, he'll be forced back on the team if you want to keep Cell.
Of course.
Yeah, gotta have the father-son relationship.
Of course. Naturally, of course.
Well, maybe you guys should pick up Cell Jr. and get that father-son relationship.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Honestly,
sure,
though,
I'm
that
pretty
actually
excited.
could be kind of fun to see.
That'll be fun, yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
yeah, I mean, you can see even teams that have made it to playoffs have characters down here. Resurrected Warriors, they have Videl down here, but she made it. And they have Rally Piccolo, so they have two characters down in the bottom, and they're still in it.
Bloodbats with Cyberman and Cell Jr. as well, yeah.
Yeah, and even androids being just a tier above Super 17, Android 19. Not necessarily bad characters, and same with Raditz and Scouter. Not exactly bad characters, but struggling enough to be a worry and be down here.
Yes.
Well, did you guys have anything else you wanted to go over on the tier list? Or are you ready to move on to predictions for round 1 of playoffs?
I am ready to do it.
Alrighty then. Round 1 of playoffs. We will be using this graphic as it is the best way to show it off, as the schedule document doesn't have playoff rounds posted just yet. So starting off, we have androids versus kaiju. At least for the first round, I believe androids, you guys will have the home map, correct?
Yeah, we'll have the home map for matches 1 and 3 if needed.
So I have to give the benefit of the doubt to androids here. That just a couple of their characters looking super strong. I do have to say, though, that if Kaiju does their tag game, now that it has 5, they're guaranteed Nappa, King, and Vegeta. And even Bardock will do his tags from time to time. They're guaranteed to have a tag game in. If they get it going, they could certainly still bring it back, but just starting off with the home map advantage and with how strong Cell 17 and 16 have looked, you just kind of have to give it to, or I'm going to give it to androids.
For me, it'll be no surprise. I'm done with androids on this one. Obviously, I think Cell's been, back in form. 17's way back in form ever since that Kaiju match. He's been on a tear. And then you have 16, and I think the new build on Super 17 can do a lot of damage with those two. I think we'll be able to take it.
Yeah, this is like the epitome of home field advantage with androids in their water map and Kaiju in their night map. Kaiju not having access to 3 of their great apes hurts them. I'll give it to androids.
Yeah, so we have 3-0 for androids, but again, it is a best of 3. So this is only for round 1. We'll do a round 2 prediction after round 1, and things could change up. We have no idea. So, but for now, 3-0 androids. Moving on to match number 2. And I don't know the complete order. I'm just going based off northeast, west, and south as it is on the website. We have Cinema versus Muscle. I'm gonna have to give it to Cinema, only just barely. I feel like even though Muscle has a lot more variety in the Protara spread, that might come back to bite them, where on the flip side, I feel like Cinema has some good consistency in Fascia, Garlic, and to a lesser degree, Turles and Gogeta, and even Zengai has been hitting her 30k every week. So in 5s, we've never seen Cinema. They're untested in 5s, being a new team. So they also have that going in for them. So that might be something that gives them a advantage. But overall, I think Muscle maybe has messed around a little too much, and at least for that has thrown in favor of Cinema for me for at least round 1.
But I'll mimic that. I'll do Cinema as well. I think Fascia's doing great. Gogeta has a chance to pop off. I think there's a lot of a chance there. Garlic has been fantastic, and as you say, Zengai is doing her 30+. Muscle, still a fantastic team no matter what you You'd think they would be able to put up quite a fight, but I think there's a lot of question marks still with Master Roshi, with which Bojack do we see, which Broly do we see. There's too many question marks right now for me to have a lot of confidence with them.
There is a lot of question marks, but I'm actually going to give it to Muscle. Broly looks good. He's been having a little bit of problems, but he's definitely a strong character. Trunks has been looking amazing. 13's been looking great. He got kind of shut out last week, but he's definitely a strong character. They've really got a lot of strengths going for them that if any amount of those show up, it could easily go their way.
Yeah, so it'll obviously be a very contentious match for round 1, but it sounds like we have the overall vote for Cinema here. Moving on to match 3, we have Hybrids and Namek. This one's going to be a very contentious one as well. Obviously, people have been talking about the West Kai, Best Kai, blah, 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 and even their worst teams at 8-7 and 9-6 would top other divisions, so Hybrids and Namek is going to be an intense matchup. But I got to give it to Hybrids. I think Namek has a lot of potential to take round 1 here, but Hybrids coming in with Ultimate Gohan looking good, Teen looking back in form. I know Future's not like super incredible like he was, but he still seems like a consistent character. Same with Kid Gohan and Sword Trunks. So I think that they might just have a little too much edge to start, but anything could change, as we saw with Namek's out of nowhere builds in week 15. It could certainly turn the tide, but off what we've seen, I think I'd have to give the edge to Hybrids just barely.
I'll mimic that. I'll say Hybrids as well. Ultimate Gohan coming back is fantastic. Hybrids utilize the tag game slightly more effectively, 16 tags on the season instead of 12 from Namek. Also, the AIS and Active Strike or Wild Sense from Hybrids will give the B2s from Namek and Ish a lot of problems. That's kind of the bread and butter for the season. So I think Namek on paper still is a strong team, but I think Hybrids may be the match for this one.
Yeah, this one I'm kind of split on. Both teams are definitely strong. Namek's unpredictable in a good way with their new builds and all. Are they going to use their new ones, their old ones? So they've got that going for them. But I'm going to give the slight edge to Hybrids.
So we have an overall for Hybrids, but being that it is a double round, and you never know what'll happen with the weird stuff Namek has thrown out before. Also, can I just complain? GT, Budokai, Rugrats got their characters, but they got Namek on West Kai's face. Hello? We get to look at Baby's tight abs. We don't get to see Kid Boo's or Super Boo's tight abs. Come on, I got some complaints here. I expect better.
Unlucky.
Unlucky. And finally, moving on to South Kai, we have Resurrected Warriors versus Cold Kingdom. Both barely scraping by with losses coming off, so they have a lot to prove here. Certainly was a frustrating week 15 for them, so will be interesting to see what maybe they pull out. And in terms of who I think will win for at least round 1, even though this is on Resurrected Warriors home map, I think I'm going to have to give it to Cold. I think looking at their performances and just the fact that 18 the last 2 to 3 weeks has not been the same Android 18 we've seen most this season, I have to just give that slight advantage to Cold Kingdom, because King Cold found his form, but 18 losing it is quite terrifying.
I'll say the same, although with Cold, they have a lot of similar characters, like Ada and Ratum are very similar. 18 and Kula are very similar characters in how they operate. But I do think that Cold's lineup as a whole, especially with Kula coming back in, just looks a little bit stronger than what Resurrected Warriors are bringing to the table, especially with 18 faltering the past few weeks here. And I don't have the highest confidence in Videl / early Piccolo to consistently, perform in this best of 3 essentially for these 5-mans. And I think I don't have that issue. I don't have that question mark with Cold. Metacooler still be able to do his thing. Frieza same thing. I think they'll be overall better than Resurrected Warriors at this point in time.
Yeah, I'm gonna also give it to Cold. I was formerly on that team as a supporter, So I've got personal love there. But even outside of that, just looking at statistics and all that, Cold's been looking better in these last few weeks, and Resident Warriors has struggled a little bit. So the Colts definitely looking to be the stronger team going in, but anything could happen.
Yeah, so it sounds like we have a sweep for Cold, but again, best of 3. Just want to keep that in mind. These opinions are for this round, but things could change. And even if the team we predicted to lose wins, it doesn't guarantee that they get through. So it will be interesting in a lot of ways to see what changes a lot of these teams bring in to try to maybe surprise their opponents. Because again, bringing in 5s, you have to manage the Patoras for 5 characters instead of 4. So maybe there was some overlap before that can't happen anymore.
Sure.
So you never know what maybe gets brought in, Master Throws, Mirages, who knows. Do you guys have anything else you want to say for playoff predictions for round 1?
That's it on my end.
I'm good.
Alrighty then, so the very last thing we have is, we talked about it several times, we have the least valuable player tournament. This is what will be happening this week. It will be a fun style tournament. It's the opposite of most valuable player, where it's the character with your worst stats, your worst average, going up against other characters the worst averages, and the objective is to lose the match to continue. So you want to lose to progress, to become the worst of the worst. So it will be interesting to see what teams come up with. You can expect a lot of Halo Light to have a negative on health bar. It will remove 1 health bar, but make your B2s cost half as much. There's a lot of Pataras that we're probably going to see that are very strange and out of nowhere to try to force your characters to be worse. So, I don't know, do you guys want to try to predict some of these, or just kind of look at it in shock and awe?
I'm down to predict the viewer.
Yeah.
Alrighty then. For King Piccolo Zangaya, I think unfortunately Zangaya is the worst one, so she'll lose.
Yeah, I'm gonna lead towards Zengai on this one.
Zendaya has been looking better, so that's gonna be a very close match.
Oh wait, no, this is on the map where they can ring out King Piccolo.
Yeah,
King Piccolo's flown into the side before, multiple times.
yeah, King Piccolo definitely has a tendency to just ring himself out.
So since you can ring yourself out and that counts as a loss, I'm giving King Piccolo.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
So
King Piccolo.
2-1
Gonna
King
lose.
Piccolo Zangaya to move on. Raccoon Mecha Frieza. Oh, this one's a wonky one. I wonder if Raccoon's throw would round out the opponent. So I'm gonna give it to Mecha Frieza moving on.
Yeah, I'm thinking Mecha Frieza moves on. I think that's how it works. If he can plant them per se
Yeah,
outside.
I believe it can. So I'm also saying that Frieza's moving on, just one good throw in the match.
Yeah. All right, Dr. Gero Sword Trunks. Gero actually kicks them up, and I think Sword Trunks hits him up with both their grabs, so that's not an issue there. But I don't know. I'm thinking Gero might move on. I think he technically has a. They've actually used Halo and stuff on Sword Trunks, so he actually can work with that stuff. So Gero might just be still too bad, and we'll move on.
Yeah, Gero, no question, West character in the lead. He's moving on.
Yeah, Jero's not been looking good recently in like the regular season, so I'm saying Jero moving on.
So Pan and Raditz, it's surprising, but Raditz is actually not that bad of a character as of late, and Pan, even with a purposeful good build, sometimes does nothing. So unfortunately, I think Pan will be moving on.
Second that, Pan I think is moving on this one. I think Raditz is a little too strong.
Yeah, I'd hate to say it. Pan could take it with like a good grab or two, but it doesn't look good.
Well, I just
Her
noticed,
chances-
when has the sentence Raditz is a bit too strong ever been uttered? Non-ironically.
Maybe when Raditz Jr. was talked about.
Ah, yes.
All right, for the next one, we have Roshi versus Videl. Yeah, this will be an interesting
Yeah.
one. This one's, I don't even know who to pick. Both of them have been very rough this season, but I think Roshi would move on. Videl has aggro, but tends to kill herself off that aggro, where Roshi seems to not have anything.
Yeah. I know Videl has that little melee combo, which like hits him and then just knocks him to the ground, so I think Rush will move on due to that.
Yeah, both of these characters have some rush B2s they love to use, so one of them could just end up throwing themselves into the wall.
Yep.
Oh yeah, it'll be hard to say.
hmm
All right, the next round we have Android 19 versus Early Goku. So these are the worst for their teams because it's somebody has to be worse on their teams, less than they're actually been struggling. This will be a hard one as well because both have been quite strong. I almost don't even want to vote one. I think 19 might though, with how weird Early Goku's been lately.
Well, I think early Goku will move on just because I'm the president of Android 19 fan club, so I have to for my boy.
You don't
Yeah,
want
I
him to be
think
the best of the worst, the worst of the worst.
No,
Oh, no.
no.
yeah, I
That's
think Goku would move on. 19's throws are pretty good at just shutting down characters.
sure.
So that's gonna
Yeah,
really hurt.
he might kick him
Goku.
into the wall too, so will be
True.
Yeah.
interesting. All right, so Majub Cell Jr. Well, that's
Cell
an
Jr. moving
unfortunate
on.
one. Yeah, kind of just Cell Jr.
Cell Jr. moving on, buddy.
We literally were trying to figure out a build to make Majub not just kill Cell Jr. immediately, and we're like, oh fuck it, we just want him to kill him at this point.
Yeah, it's doomed.
Just get it over with.
And then Birder and Mid Goku.
Ooh.
Yeah, this one's another sad one where it's like they just kind of had to be
Yeah.
the worst for their teams. Kind of hard to say, but I think Mid Goku just has a good kit, so Birder might just get outclassed by that even with troll builds.
I'm gonna go with mid Goku moving on. I think Butter has some potential. I think he can do it.
Yeah. This one's gonna be close. I think it's gonna come down to just good, smart AI of
Mhm.
who wins. But I'll say Birder moving on. Mid Goku's quite good.
Alrighty then. You guys want to throw your hat at potentially who was gonna win it all or lose it all?
Oh, Jiro, without doubt.
Churro.
I'm going with Cell Jr. I think Cell Jr. actually has a good chance.
Churro or Team Piccolo?
Oh,
Okay.
those are some big guesses.
Oof.
Alrighty then. Well, that's going to do it for Capsule Cast this week. Maybe not as many max predictions, but we fixed it up with this other predictions, which will change because after least valuable, we'll have most valuable player tournament. So,
Ooh.
otherwise, please again check out the description. We'll have links to the website and the Discord. The Discord, we have watch parties and just discussion all around. Modding, all kinds of stuff. We talk about everything Dragon Ball Z League related and just Dragon Ball Z related in general. And please leave a comment below with any suggestions or anything you want to hear. Moving forward will be a little different format with the change, but this being our first season of Capsule Cast, things have changed as the season's gone on. So just keep ready for whatever. You guys have any final remarks for the Capsule Cast this week?
Not for me.
Nope.
Alrighty then, this has been Capsule Cast. Have a great one.
See ya.
See ya.